What is up, everybody? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome to the E-Channel. With the It TV series just over a month away, it looks like we are now receiving another all-new trailer for Welcome to Derry, including some all-new scenes and a deeper look at some of the upcoming characters, including our first look at Pennywise himself. We have seen tiny glimpses of him in the previous trailers up until this point, but now we get our full-on first look at the Cosmic Clown, played by Bill Skarsgård. And I am super happy to know that Bill is returning to reprise his role as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. At this point, I couldn't picture anybody else playing that role after how well he did. But taking a look at the new trailer, it starts off pretty similar to the previous one, with an overhead shot of Derry, Maine, circa 1962, followed by a few shots of the kids at school, both in the classroom and in the hallway. And one of the hallway shots in particular certainly caught my eye, as we see what almost appears to be the reflection of the deadlights in one of the girls' glasses. An interesting shot, considering there doesn't look to be anything in that hallway that could create that kind of reflection, which makes the shot feel like a foreshadowing of sorts of things to come. And based on another shot we get later in the trailer, it looks like the deadlights are going to play a significant role in the upcoming series. But next we see a shot of Rich and Will in the hallway, as they introduce themselves to one another, two of the characters that will be making up this show's version of the Losers Club, followed by another shot of one of the kids looking through a telescope, begging the question, what exactly is he looking at? And while he does have a notebook in front of him, it's hard to make out what exactly is on the page. But next we see a shot of a military plane coming in for a landing, followed by our first shot of Leroy Hanlan, the father of the family that just moved into Derry, as we get a little bit more backstory surrounding them, and how they have apparently been living on military bases for the last 8 years, but now Leroy wants to give his wife and family a sense of normalcy by moving into Derry. As we hear one of his commanding officers state that if normal is what they're searching for, they're going to love it here. But unfortunately for Leroy and his family, this commanding officer doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, as the family will soon come to find out that Derry is anything but normal. But next we see a shot of the Hanlans having dinner with Dick Halloran, a friend of Leroy's and fellow soldier from the base, as he asks Charlotte if she likes it here or not. And judging by her response, I get the feeling that there is a sort of divide between her and Leroy, potentially pointing to the possibility that they weren't in agreement about moving to Derry, Maine. As we then see a shot of their son, Will, walking into the classroom and getting bullied. It seems like none of the Hallorans are fitting in very well upon arrival. But next, we see Charlotte walking down the street, and an interesting Easter egg behind her, as we see a sign for the upcoming Paul Bunyan statue that will later on be built, the same statue that we see in the 2 films, further pointing to the show and the movies being in the same continuity, as we have heard that It Welcome to Derry is a prequel to the first film. As we then flash back to the dinner table with Leroy stating that they're getting the swing of it and how Derry is starting to feel more like home. But it certainly sounds like he's trying to convince himself of that in this scene as much as he's trying to convince his friend. But next, the trailer continues with Lily speaking with someone, as we hear some dialogue of her stating that things happen in this town, yet nobody really talks about it, followed by a shot of 3 armed men, and a shot of some prisoners getting loaded into a bus. And as we see on the side of the bus, it is heading to Shawshank State Prison, which of course is a wink and a nod to another famous Stephen King novel, Shawshank Redemption. And seeing as the story of Shawshank Redemption takes place between 1947 and 1966, Andy would still currently be locked up in Shawshank during the events of the It TV series, with his ultimate escape coming 4 years later. But next, we see a shot of multiple different missing persons posters, followed by a shot of the kids stating that they never found the body, as they appear to be reading an article on one of the recent missing persons, which just so happens to be the same kid we saw in the first trailer hitchhiking on the side of the road, as the group tries to figure out what happened to him. As Lily states, it could have been a drifter, as we see a shot of her looking at a picture of Bob Gray, a disguise that Pennywise has been known to use to hide his true nature. While the creature primarily takes the terrifying form of Pennywise to exploit children's fears, the name Bob Gray serves as a less conspicuous and unremarkable disguise used to hide in plain sight. And one thing we have heard is that we're going to be getting a glimpse at Pennywise's origins. And if the shot we get later in the trailer of what appears to be a comet falling to Earth is any indication, it looks like we might indeed see Pennywise's arrival on Earth. But next, the trailer continues with a conversation between Leroy and Halloran, with Leroy asking him what exactly is wrong. And judging by the look on Halloran's face, you can definitely see that he is still very visibly shaken. As we then see a shot of a vehicle being pulled out of the water, with multiple dead bodies inside. And judging by the rate of decomposition, they have been down there for a while. As we hear some dialogue in the background stating that there have been 25 different disappearances, and 7 confirmed deaths, most of which have been children, further pointing to the fact that Pennywise is active in Derry yet again, as we then see a quick shot of the Cosmic Clown himself down in the sewer, followed by a shot of Halloran stating that something bad is coming, followed by a shot of a meteor falling from the sky, which is most likely the same meteor that brought Pennywise to Earth. Out of everything we're going to be getting on the upcoming It TV series, the arrival of Pennywise is something I'm looking forward to seeing the most. When looking at Pennywise, it's sometimes easy to forget that he's no mere monster at all, but rather something far more sinister. This ancient cosmic entity is millions of years old, and originates from a dimension outside of our own universe known as the Macroverse. After landing on Earth during a meteor shower, the entity known as Pennywise would go on to hibernate for millions of years in what would later become known as Derry, Maine. And while his favorite form might be the Cosmic Clown, he is also capable of shapeshifting into nearly anything. After slumbering for millions of years, Pennywise would first wake up and become active in 1715, where he would go on to start preying on the settlement of Derry, marking the beginning of his feeding cycle. After which, the entity known as Pennywise would go on to emerge once every 27 years to feed on the population of Derry, Maine, before returning to his slumber. And while Pennywise has utilized many different forms over the centuries, his true original form is something else entirely, which is known as the Deadlights. At his core, Pennywise is an extra-dimensional form of pure energy that usually appears as a swirling orange light. And for any human unlucky enough to glimpse Pennywise's true form, would usually end up resulting in death or driven insane. Pennywise would go on to use the Deadlights as a form of trapping his victims' minds and paralyzing them with fear, which is something we see in the trailer during this shot. And while it might appear like they're in some sort of trance, they are actually trapped inside their own personal hell filled with their worst fears. And seeing as the cosmic entity known as Pennywise feeds on fear, the Deadlights are a very useful tool at his disposal, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he uses it on the show. But next, the trailer continues with our first glimpse of Pennywise himself, as he is standing at the end of the hall holding his patented red balloon, as we hear his laugh playing in the background, followed by a shot from a previous trailer of Lily screaming covered in blood, as we then see a shot of a car swerving all over the road, which looks to be the same car that the hitchhiking kid from the first trailer got into, the same kid from the missing persons poster that they were looking at in the library. Whoever this kid was, it seems Pennywise was not keen on letting him escape. On top of everything else that Pennywise is capable of, he is also capable of influencing people around him into doing evil acts. And judging by the sinister smile that the driver of the car has, I think it's safe to assume that these people are under Pennywise's influence and are doing his dirty work, similar to how Pennywise influenced Henry Bowers in the first film. But next, the trailer continues with Lily having an encounter with Pennywise inside a grocery store. On top of shape-shifting, the Deadlights, and influencing people's behavior, Pennywise is also capable of making you see things that aren't there. Which, if I had to guess, is what's happening to Lily in this scene. As next, we see a shot of Dick Halloran staring at something in the woods, which is also most likely another manipulation from Pennywise, as he seems to be slowly driving him mad. Followed by another shot from a previous trailer that shows one of the officers under the control of Pennywise, which you can usually tell by the sinister smile. followed by a very intriguing shot of what appears to be mist covering the town of Derry, which, if nothing else, definitely invokes the feeling of Stephen King's The Mist, especially considering in the following shot we see someone being dragged off into the mist by some kind of creature. But next, the trailer continues with a shot of James Raymer, who seems to be playing some sort of military commander, followed by a shot of the creepy house where the Losers Club confront Pennywise for the first time in the film, as we then see a shot of what appears to be Lily down in the sewers with Pennywise approaching her, followed by a shot of what could potentially be Pennywise showing off his shape-shifting abilities, as this could be him turning into another form, followed by a shot of Dick Halloran seemingly standing in that mist, screaming in fear. Whatever this mist ends up being, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing it on the show. As next, the trailer comes to a close with a shot of some of the children who have been infected by the Deadlights, as they are beginning to float, with the final shot of the trailer being one of Pennywise himself. Up until this point, in all of the previous trailers and promotional material, we have only ever seen bits and pieces of Pennywise, but now we're getting our first full official look at the character, and he appears to look every bit as good as he did in the films. And when taking a look at the IMDb, it states that Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise will be appearing in 5 episodes this season, making him present in every episode but one. Which, if nothing else, is good news, as we have been hearing rumors that the show will explore some of Pennywise's origins, which hopefully include not only his initial arrival on Earth, but some of his time as Bob Gray as well. But either way, I am very much looking forward to It Welcome to Derry when it hits our screens in October, and we will definitely be covering every episode when it arrives. But that is going to do it for our trailer breakdown for It Welcome to Derry, and definitely leave your thoughts and comments down below. What did you think of the new trailer? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit a like on your way out and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and a huge thank you to all the channel members, and we will see you on the next one.